I thought I'd talk about the engine today. I've hinted at this, but I've never really talked about it. And there was a few comments asking about what the engine is and what are the plans for it. I think I've kind of hinted at it. I am going turbocharged with this. No supercharging or anything like that. I'm going turbo because I'm comfortable with it. So from the video last time when I stripped it down, a fair bit happened. So I took it to CAD and they bored it out to 1293. And I had 18cc dished Omega forged pistons, specialist components forged rods, and then the crank is a standard crank that's been super finished. The cylinder head is one of their K100 race with dry decking. So the block's all been finished for it. So in terms of the engine as itself, that's it. I haven't put oil jets like I did with Felix. This is a slightly different route with it, and the drop gears are standard. However, the shims, the one that go between the idler, what I've done with them, under recommendation by a few people, is basically run them on top of 60 grit sandpaper and really roughen them up. And what that does is similar to what they do with the honing. It holds the oil because you don't want them to stick. If you polish them and then put them on, you would find that it would push all the oil out and it would essentially weld itself using the oil tension. So I've done that for a bit of longevity with it. The biggest issue with the drop gears anyway, it isn't necessarily the shims. It's the fact that when you put it under load, the gear actually twists because the loading in, loading out are opposite. So it does, basically as you accelerate it does that, and decelerate it does that, so it moves. So the biggest issue, or biggest way to solve that, is better bearings. So the bearings for the drop gears on this are the best I could get from John at Guessworks. Cylinder head, underneath here I've got the MED 1.3 roller rockers. 1.5 is not needed for a turbo. It's been ported, it's been flowed, it's got twin springs on it, and it's got slightly bigger valves as well. So in terms of what I need it for, hopefully it's going to work. The camshaft is a phase 2 Maven bar, perfect for turbo, perfect, and that's exactly what I've got on Felix as well. As I said, the drop gears are standard. The clutch is an RTS twin spring with a 180mm friction plate, not 190 like I've got on Felix, and that's only because of what was available at the time. Master cylinder, the slave cylinder has been reconditioned as well. That's Felix's original one, but when I had an oil leak, those who follow me on Instagram will see that I had a oil clutch fluid leak on Felix. I actually swapped the slave cylinders over, but I reconditioned that one, put it up, and then I had the other one, their old one, on the bench. So I reconditioned that one, and now it's on the van. Standard starter motor. Doesn't need much. I could tart that up, but it's going to sit underneath the intercooler. So in terms of what the engine is, you've got to understand it. So the gearbox is the same as Felix. So it is a mini spares evolution set. Helical, not straight cut. It's got a pinion support by CAD on it. You can just about see that it looks very, very shiny. And then it's got a 3.1 final drive going to an MED automatic torque biasing, or ATB diff. So what is the problem in putting an MPI engine into an early car? Well, this is pre-90, so the subframe hasn't got the repositioning of the engine mount to move it 10mm forward, so it is in the standard position. Whether that's going to be a problem or not, we'll find out. So Cole has a similar position to his engine, and he's made it all work for his side-mounted turbo. And Felix has moved 10mm forward, causes issues on the front end. Much more room at the back for the basically inlet system and the exhaust. So that is my biggest issue. The other one is these engines are designed for front-mounted radiators. That's not happening on this. I'm not doing it. So I've gone for a side-mounted radiator, a la that one there. It is V-band. and as you've seen in the previous one, trying to fit the alternator has been a bit problematic. So this bracket is the MPI bracket. It's just painted black. I didn't paint it the same colour as the engine. It's mounted with a M10 down there, and that made it really sturdy. And then I was like, what do I do on top? So I found these rose joints. So I got those and this threaded rod and just gave it a go. I had to relieve a bit of the casing for the alternator, but this is as far up as possible. So I've measured with a piece of string the size of the belt, and it's come back as a 5PK 810. So that arrives soon, and I can get that fitted in, and then all I need to do is twist this and I can tighten it. That makes life easier. So in terms of that, I'm happy with. Standard hose on the back, but I've got the bypass valve, or a return valve. Wouldn't be bypass would be here, wouldn't it? So it is the return valve, or return hole. So this is the return from the heater, because the van never came with one, so I'm putting one in. I had a fan but no heater. So I'll be cutting that down, putting a 90 and running straight to the back, and that'll go in. So that'll be the return. So how does it get in there? Ta-da! This. I did have originally, underneath all my crap somewhere, I'm not going to do this for too long because it's dull. I did have the sensor for the dash on here. No longer using that. So what this will be converted to dash 8, come out around the back, and then basically another 90 in that way. So they'll be together and they'll go in. Hopefully that'll be under the boost pipe. So they'll both go in there and then feed into the heater core. So I've actually got a bit of heat, and the valve then will most likely go in the car. Trying to run it in here, do you know what? I ain't got the time or the patience. So it's easier to run it inside, a bit like the MPI. So that'll be the coolant run, and that will go into the radiator. So I'm going to run the standard dash, but if I haven't got that as a coolant temperature sensor, how am I going to do it? Well, I'm going to convert this and have it machined, probably maybe around the side or around the front, and have the coolant temperature sensor go in underneath, and then I'll hide the wiring. I've seen people drill these out and put the coolant temperature sensor in, but the jacket in the MPI head is slightly different. I mean, I could go in there if I'm utterly honest with you, and it's something I might explore, but I just need a reading from the coolant. So with that, the signal goes to the ECU, and I can use a HBO or half bridge output, and basically give it a waveform to go into the dash. So you know your needle, back and forth for the heater. Well, I can do that with this, because it's clever like that. So, one to watch. Now, the turbo kit. So, the side mounted turbo, it comes off the back, and it collects and comes up to the turbo here. The turbo is going to be a Pulsar turbo, not a Nissan GT Pulsar, but the brand Pulsar. It's new for Bag Sport. Those who haven't seen his website, I'll stick a link in the comments below so you can have a look. Ben does some amazing fabrication and is really going far with these little engines. So the Pulsar Turbo is the same size as a GBC 20, which is, say, on Cole's car, and it's smaller than the GBC 22 that's on Elliot's car. But the difference is it's got a ball bearing turbo, and I won't go into that. If you really want to have a look at the difference between a journal and a ball bearing turbo and the differences and the pros and cons, go and have a look at it. But the big thing is it spools quicker. But I will need a restrictor, because ball bearing turbos need a restrictor. You don't need as much oil pressure for it. So turbo comes in, air filter will be about here. Nice direct airflow coming through. I'll probably put a scoop, a 3D printer scoop, and put one up so it gets the airflow. I've seen people put them here, but it's like, well, where's the air coming from? Because it's not coming. It's going to come through the gap of the bonnet. That's useless. So I'll put a piece that goes up like that and feed it directly. So you've got a cold air feed. Remember those from the 90s, kids? And the next part will be the intercooler. So it will go from the turbo into the intercooler, which will go here. Now the biggest issue I've got is the oil filter. And look how much space I've got there. So it'll have to go almost down, touching the top of the starter motor. There's a mount here, so it'll go from there, mount to about there-ish. And then, if I remove the oil filter, I've got a shorter W77. However, this is a 3/4 inch thread, whereas that's 13/16. And Elliot's going to make me one that reduces this down to go on. But essentially, you'll see, even when that, I've got another 12mm. It's going to give me loads of room in the front, which is enough. And speaking to Ben, he's content with the amount of room as well. The kit he provides has a mount for the other side of the intercooler here, but it bolts onto the oil filter housing. I don't have that on the MPI. It would have been about here-ish. I think that might be one of the castings for it originally. The MPI block's very different. So what to do? Did you mount it from underneath? Do you mount it from the M10 that's in the alternator mount? No. What Ben's going to do is mount it from one of these studs. So it'll come off and then mount at the top, and it'll come out with the oil filter over the top and then round, blow off valve and in. But with the coolant as well, because the MPI casting doesn't have a recess for the thermostat, so this is going to have a plate made by MED that is about 2mm thickness, 2 or 3mm. That goes on the cylinder head, and then the thermostat goes in it, and this goes on top and sandwiches it. So the big issue, as you already see, is room for height. So it's only going up by a couple of millimeters, so that'll give it enough room around the back. So happy with that. So once all that's in, elbow in, back to the drive-by-wire setup, and then in. But what's going to drive it all? I've just bought a Haltech S2, which is their new Nexus series ECUs. It's a little bit different to the 1500. It's got a few more inputs, a few more outputs, but the other thing is it's connectable by Wi-Fi, and I can use the Haltech app to do a bit of tuning as well. Original plan in this guy's mind was to actually, when I bought the S2, to move it and put it on that dope. But I did some looking around and some wiring diagrams, and it didn't quite work. It would have been possible, but the work versus reward was incredibly minimal. So it's staying with the van now. So when it arrives, it'll get mounted, as I showed before, underneath the dash. The advantage as well is I don't have to have a wideband module. It comes straight off the ECU, so it will come and work nicely. The loom will come out the top there, in, round the back, and then most likely pop through here and then down, and then we'll take it round. So I'll have a knock sensor, and that'll be the extra one like I did on Felix, and a few other sensors. Coolant temperature potentially there, inlet air temperature will be about here, and then you've got things like the crank sensor here, oil temperature, oil pressure will go there, and then you've got things like over here I have got a clutch switch. So that is a module that goes in instead of your banjo bolt, and it is a switch. So you just basically got a positive and a negative, or whatever you already want to call them for a switch, and that will go in as well. So that will be fed underneath, so I'll take it round, potentially underneath where it came through, and then down. I want to try and hide the wiring as best as possible, and I think it is very doable. But it'll go around the front, and then where to put the coil pack is going to be the next phrase, well, next part of it. Cole put it up there in that corner. Elliot's put it down here, but until the turbo kit is on, I don't know what to do. So that'll be the next phase. So it is all quieting down until I get the belt on. When the belt is on, I can put the radiator back in, I can start doing more of the coolant pipe work, but I can't do that until I've got the boost hose. So you can see where this is going. I have got the DSN support for that side. that has still got to be fitted, but I haven't got 3 pairs of hands to do that, tighten it down. So I'll have to get the missus to help me with it. So I have to fit that. There's a few other pieces that I need to plan at the moment. Washer bottle, especially, being one up there, I reckon, and then run the pump, which is here. Run that up the top, keep it out of the way, and then run the wires out and to it. Yeah, plans are afoot for that one. So the exhaust. I never really talked about this. This was made a long time ago when it originally was going supercharged. So this has been made by Matty at Fusion Fabrications, and it is a 2 1/4 inch system, although it's missing the main pipe. That's still in the loft, but you don't really see that. It is a straight piece of pipe. I'm sure you can imagine what it looks like. So same tail pipe as Felix, but you notice it's got no mounts. So those are on the way at the moment. It will basically mount to the subframe on a bobbin and then come down and attach there, and the other one goes about here, and that will go with a U-bolt, and that'll be on there. Typically I've got grease on it somehow, and that will go straight through to the front. So I'm sorted in terms of exhaust, and this has been very nicely made. Matty does do a good job on these, and being the size of the silencer it's got on it, it's going to be bloody loud, because I haven't got another one at the front. It is literally going turbo downpipe, straight pipe to this, and then out. So I imagine lots of flames. So hopefully that gives you a good rundown of what the engine is, where it came from, and the future of it, or the future episodes. Hats off to Ben, been speaking to him a lot regarding this, so being able to fit me in his schedule has been brilliant, but it could be a couple of weeks, it could be a couple of months, but I'm in no rush with this car at the moment. The ECU should be here, I would say, in the next few weeks, and at least I can try and get that mounted inside the car. Once the turbo kit's here, it will then roll on, because I can start planning more, because at the moment I'm kind of doing it imagining, but I need it here because there need to be exact measurements of where everything is going to fit on this, so stand by for that one. If you've got any questions regarding the engine build, or how I did it, or where I took things, or why I went in that direction, please stick them in the comments and I'll get to answer them as soon as I can. But again, thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one.